Hey, what's up, guys? This is Khaliq Glover, also known as Khaliq-O-Vision, and I'm back for another Hangout. I'm here with my boy Joseph, and a few other people are going to be joining us real shortly. Um, if you've been around, for the last couple of weeks, actually, I've been having some computer issues, and it was really making the Hangouts rough to do. And now what's happening is, and Joseph, I'm gonna mute you out for a hot second. Um, it's really been hard to do because I've been having my video act up funny. My audio's been coming in funny from my microphone. I had to like switch microphones every like 5 minutes or something like that. I didn't know what was going on, and I come to find out it was I think it was a combination of things, because I was ready to get a whole new computer, but I found out I had a bad stick of RAM in there, so I had to replace that. And then just a couple other things. My hard drive was my boot hard drive. Even though I have a 2 terabyte internal drive, it was jam packed with stuff. So I had, especially like sound libraries and stuff like that. So with it being jam packed with the sound libraries, I ended up running out of a lot of room that the system needs to go. So I'm passing this on to you now because just if you start having problems with your computers and everything, and I knew this already, but we have a habit of downloading stuff, collecting, watching movies and getting sound libraries and putting everything on our boot drive. And what happens is it gets bogged down after a while, and the drive has to do so much work to look for all that data. It's like just a round cylinder on a spindle with a moving head that just like moves around and jerks to find all the data on that thing as it's spinning. And the more it has to do, the slower your system gets, the harder it has to work, and the more unstable it gets. And so that was a big issue. So what after conferring with a few folks that really know computers really well and take them apart for a living, they told me, well, first of all, one guy showed me that I had a bad RAM, so that was causing a lot of my problems. The other problem was I only had something like about 20 gigabytes of space left, and that seems like that'd be a decent amount, to do some work. But he's like, man, to be safe on your computer and make sure it stays relatively stable, because the computer uses not just RAM, it uses your hard drive to write temporary files. And he said at all times, try to keep no less than like 200 gigabytes of free space on your hard drive. Now you can get away with less. I had my boot drive all the way down at one point to about 8 gig. And so I was wondering why a lot of things were slowing down to a crawl. And that's it. It uses the hard drive as a virtual RAM disk to write files in, store them temporarily, and then it deletes them later on. But it allows the computer to move faster in addition to what's already in the RAM memory. So I just thought I'd pass it on because I thought it might be helpful if anybody else runs into it, because my computer has gotten real unstable. Now, part of it also is my computer it's not that old, but by computer years, it's kind of ancient. I have a 2009 Mac Pro, the Mac Pro Tower, lots of power and everything, and it's very fast, and it was top of the line 5 years ago. But 5 years in computer language is like ancient now. So it is time for me to get a new computer. But the new Mac Pro towers, the ones that look like the big black cylinder, those things are blazing fast. I've dealt with a couple of people who got them. They are so ridiculously fast and awesome and can do a lot of stuff, but the price reflects it too. You're going to have to spend for like what I do on a pro level and everything. I know you can basically get a real basic one if you're only going to surf the internet and do some real mild stuff for like about 3-4 grand, I guess, something like that. But anything that you want to be able to do some audio or video work and stuff like that, you're going to have to spend, between 4 and 6 grand just to get your computer at least. And then by the time you get an expansion chassis, by the time you get, because it doesn't have any internal PCI slots or anything, you have to get an expansion chassis to put things like that in your cards. So if you got UAD cards and stuff like that, they all have to go into an external expansion chassis. That's another $1,000. Then you have to basically, you probably might want to upgrade, say, your video card. The video card that most of the time that you get with computers is usually just the very bare minimum and not really up to the task. So something that will process video a lot faster is usually going to be a lot more helpful. Um, a lot of things, I'm going to talk to Joseph about that too, because Joseph said he was investigating it. But I found that was a lot of my problems. So hopefully this will be, from now on, a little bit better experience until I get a newer computer. I got this one, a little TLC. Like I said, I bought some new RAM, got rid of that bad RAM that was causing problems. I did some hard drive maintenance, all the stuff that I had on there. So we got Jason. Jason, I'm gonna mute you out for a hot second. And all that stuff, got in there, and it caused problems when you don't have enough room and to do your thing. So the computer can't, have the little wiggle room that it needs to be effective. I'm still kind of pushing it right now. I got a lot of stuff going on, and for today's technology, the faster you have. But RAM is really the key. When you get a busted RAM chip, you may never even know it, but your computer just starts acting crazy. So anyway, Joseph, I wanted to talk to you. Why don't you unmute yourself now and say what's up, man? How you
Hey
doing?
guys. Hey out there. How you doing, Jason? Oh
Yeah,
man. No,
Jason's
I,
getting it.
I feel for you. I was
Yeah.
at the Mac store and I was absolutely just blown away by the Thunderbolt, uh, the technology. But as you said, the price reflects the technology. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And I asked the store associate to just start me out with the basic, what they would consider the base audio professional computer, which started with an 8-core processor, the Xenon, and it was just unbelievable. By the time we got to the end of the list, it was just over $10,000 for the expansion chassis, for 3 more hard drives. 'Cause right now I run 3 hard drives. The boot drive, a recording drive, and then the sample drive. That runs that way all the time. And then I have other drives that are swappable for specific clients. And I'm using these small 60 gigabyte SSD drives to record on, and that's fantastic. But I was told, even in that case, to never get them more than half full,
Yeah.
because even the SSD drives, once like on the 60 gigabyte drive at least, once you pass that 35 gigabytes, you start running into trouble.
Oh yeah.
Um,
And it's so
right.
funny too, man, because like 60 gigabytes is nothing for on a system drive, and especially for a Mac. I
Oh
found
yeah.
because I was looking at them, and I was looking at the price of 128 and 250 and 500 and all that.
Mhm.
Um, and it's funny when I looked at all the stuff that's on my system and everything. It's like I gotta have at least a 1 terabyte SSD drive if I go
Right.
that route, and I'm eventually
Yes.
going to go that route. But I gotta have at least a terabyte because you, like I said, by the time you put your system on, and then like any other little additional application support files and everything. And
Hmm.
what I ended up doing on my Mac was I ended up taking like all the sound libraries that I had. I've got drum libraries and all that stuff was on my boot drive. It gets, it automatically gets installed there whenever you install most
Right.
things. So what I had to do was create an alias of that folder, and then move everything onto a brand new drive, and then just have the alias point to the new drive. And so
Yes.
that way I could free up all that space. And I noticed an immediate difference once I did that. It really
Yeah.
started helping.
Yeah. That's was something that Sweetwater told me about 10 years ago when I got my first computer. I bought it through them, and they highly recommended that I run a 3 hard drive system: a boot drive, a recording drive, and then library,
Yeah,
sample library for drums and instruments, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And I've been going that route ever since.
Oh yeah. Well, let me grab Jason for a hot
Hmm.
second. Jason, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. Doing good, man. You said I'm back online now. I'm not all fuzzy and jittery or anything. Everything look good on your end?
Oh, everything sounds great over here. Did you figure out the problem, or you got a new system?
Well, I actually went to a computer tech. He said there was really nothing wrong with my computer. What it was is I had some RAM that went bad for one thing, and then as I was explaining to everybody, my computer is jam packed. So with all the sound libraries and stuff I had on my boot drive, I only had like about I had less than 20 gigs of free space. And the guy was saying that, man, you need to have at least 200 gigs of free space because the hard drive it uses as the system uses the hard drive to, of course, write in addition to the RAM. So it's like you had no room, and the more you do it, it gets squirrelier and squirrelier. And I freed some room up, and it seems to be a lot better now.
Oh yeah, looks and sounds a lot better. A lot better.
That's good. Well, hopefully it will still stay stable. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and you know, as I was explaining too, I have a 2009 Mac Pro Tower, but in computer years, that's ancient. That's 5 years now. So it's time for a new one soon. But the new Mac Pro Towers, the black cylinders they got, and things like started around like 4 or 5K, and I'm like, I don't want to bite that bullet yet, not until I absolutely have to.
Yeah, we got really lucky when we upgraded over at the big studio last year. We caught just the end of the old great silver towers, and like Joe was saying, talking about putting in, getting a system that's all set up. We got a 250 gig SSD as the main drive, a 10K and two 10Ks to write audio to, and one for samples. By the time it was all said and done, we paid like what did we wind up paying for that? I think it was 10K.
Yeah.
The dual upgraded video cards and everything else. And then we had to go buy the new HD Pro Tools system, which was, another $7,000, $7,000 for the card and
Yeah.
$5,000.
I know.
So believe me, it was a nice. We had to pay a pretty penny, but it was worth it. I mean, that's it. That system is awesome. I love it. We're running 32 analog in and out. I absolutely love it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got 32 analog going in and out. That's cool. What are you running into? A 24-track machine and some other stuff, or what?
No, we're actually doing 90. Well, we have a tape machine there, but we're doing 99% of the stuff in the box. But we just wanted to go. We were running 24 for a long time, and everything was cool with 24. But I was like, you know what? For the extra cost, it's worth getting the extra 16 channels and having them, just to, so we can use them. The extra 8 channels, sorry, so we could use them. I'm like,
yeah.
It's worth it, And immediately I was just like, yes, because we were maxing stuff out sometimes, and I'm just like, damn it. Let's get the extra 8. Well, trust me, it'll be worth it for the IO alone, because we're going to be starting. They're really starting to push more into getting more outboard. The only thing that they have over there as an outboard is we got two 1176s and an LA 610. That's really all there is for outboard over there right now.
Oh wow!
And, I really want to start pushing into I want to get a couple distresses, and I want to start moving the place into a bigger direction. I mean, we do label records and stuff there, but I'm tired of not touching. I'm not tired of not having outboard yet.
Yeah,
really what it is.
I hear you. You guys have a large complement of plugins, though, correct?
Oh, the plugin collection over there is stupid. It Waves Mercury. We got all this, plus all the CLA stuff, the JJP stuff, and we have a bunch of the soft tube stuff that was my personal stuff that I actually love. I really love the soft tube stuff.
Yeah, I like soft tube stuff.
And like the typical things, like we got Slate Trigger over there, and they bought FGX, but I'm not personally not a fan of it. Ozone, we have a nice library of plugins to use for stuff.
That's all you need, man. Yeah, you mentioned all the main ones.
I'm mixing, and honestly, to be honest, because there's a lot of stuff going over there. The studio that I work out of, next door is a car shop, and they've been doing a lot of work in the small shop, which is right next to the studio, and we haven't really been able to clear everything up over there yet to make it completely silent. So I've been mixing a lot of the stuff at home. So I've just been mixing in the box anyway.
Anyway, yeah. You know, that's kind of what time it is for me, too. I've come from huge, large studios. You see, even when we were working at Prince's studio at Paisley Park, his console was 96 channels and everything. But at this stage, when we started getting down to it, it's like, you know, you're just in one little small space of the console anymore. And for recall purposes and just getting back, you know, to the same place you were at, it's just like, do it in the box now. I mean, it's so much more convenient. You know, I mean, that was great back in the day, but I'm not trying to rewind it or anything because I love the convenience of just being able to just call it up and do what you got to do.
From a mixing standpoint, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
How long did it take to recall 96 channels worth of session?
Dude, that's a whole day just getting the patches right. Plus,
Right.
you know, when you got that many things, some stuff is going to be wrong. I mean, just imagine that you're patching in your inserts into the patch bay, and you just got a faulty cable in the whole chain, but you're trying to do a recall, so you just patch stuff up. You don't really take the time to check everything out. You just patch it up and then hope everything comes up. And then when you listen, something ain't right and it's all screwy or noises are funny, you got to go through all that, and it always happens invariably. I used to hate recalls, man. I swear to God, I just hated them because they would never come back the same anyway. I always thought they were exercising futility. You know, you could get close, but I'm just like, well, hey, why not just take decent notes and just start a new mix anyway, because it's pretty much almost the same anyway.
That's incredible. I mean, the most I've ever recalled is 32 channels, and I didn't care for that. And the convenience of being able to use a mouse to patch something is incredible. You know, it's amazing when you know how lazy I've gotten. I don't have to get out of the chair to.
Oh, okay, you're back, Joseph. You froze for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you still hear me?
You froze on a word, but then you came back.
Okay. I just can't believe how lazy I've gotten after using the computer so much that it's like, you know, when you got to get out of the chair to patch something, it seems like it's a pain. You know?
Oh, yeah, it is, man.
Yeah,
I had a question for you guys.
Gets you out of the flow, you know.
Yeah. And I got a question for you guys. And plus, I see a couple of people that are out there watching us now. I know we got on late, and you know we got people that regularly watch us because we try to always do this on Thursdays and Sundays. I've been having computer issues, so a few people got up. But as we go on today, I'm sure more and more people will just keep joining us and everything. I talked to Dave and reached out to Bill. I know Amat is on another Hangout now, and a couple other regulars. So they may not know that I'm on right now, but they're going to come on. But I see that you are watching right now. And if you want to come on and join us on the inside, now's a good time because we're not filled up yet. And so I posted the link. It's in there on the Pensado students. And those of you that are, well, that's probably the best way. Just go to facebook.com/ what is it, group, Pensado students, I think it is, yeah. /groups, then pensadostudents.com, /Pensado students. That's what it is on Facebook. And you'll see that I have the link to this Hangout where you can come in if you want to join us. If you got some questions for me or whatever. Now, today I wanted to talk about, I saw a couple things. Somebody was mentioning, and one of my favorite plugins and favorite companies right now is FabFilter. FabFilter to me has some of the greatest, most innovative, and the way they sound and the out-of-the-box thinking of the way they do things. I love FabFilter plugins. Does anybody on here have any experience with them, and what do you think about them? Because somebody was talking about the new update they have to their EQ and everything. What about you, Jason?
FabFilter Pro C is one of my favorites, the compressor.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
And I have the older version of the Pro Q. I haven't upgraded yet. I use it. You know, I don't want. It's not a bad product. They're great. On my system, they seem to be a little CPU intensive. I don't know why. I am running PC though, so it could be a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, just killer plugins, man. I really dig a lot of their stuff. I mean, I'd like to buy the whole big bundles, but I have so much stuff right now. I'm kind of on my own little no more plugins kick for
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'm about to go in on the plug-in moratorium too because I have so many different things. Because you know, I'm lucky enough. While I still have to buy money, many times people just say, "Colleague, just check it out. We'll hook you up. Here's a license or whatever." And then other times I have to buy them. It just all depends. But they're all mixed up. But I got so many things, and I can never get to everything. There's so much here, and the whole key for us all getting better. Everybody that watches us and wonders what does it take to get to the hit song, get to consistent work, get to where you're known as somebody that can get the job done at a high quality level. Well, you have to just pick a few things as your go-to things. Start out and set up templates so that you can have as a point of departure for when you do your things. And that only comes from getting to learn what they actually sound like, what their nuances are, where their sweet spots are. Yes, plugins, even though they're digital, do have sweet spots. They have sounds. Sometimes they're emulating the hardware. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they don't. They might look like the hardware, but don't really react the same as a real hardware thing is. You got to know to recognize that difference. And the only way to do that is to just pick a few and get with it. That's going to be a future thing that I set up. I'm going to be doing some webinars and hangouts and teleseminars and things like that, where I want to lead people to the process of getting a workflow going like that, where you can set up your own templates from things that you get to know very well. So that's going to be part of the things that I show. And it'll be part of what I'm also going to do during the next Music Mixing Success Boot Camp, which is coming up at either the end of September or early October. But I'm thinking this is all real going to be real helpful, because a lot of people kind of skip over that part. They just get a bunch of stuff and then think that that's going to solve the any job or problem that they get into. And while it's good to have all these tools and everything, many times it can slow you down and freeze you. Would you guys comment on that?
No, I could absolutely. I can. I would highly recommend that somebody that's newer or getting into working with the DAW to learn it very well, learn the stock program, and absolutely set up a template. Once you understand what a template can do for you, it's incredible. It doesn't have to, I hear people say things like, I don't want to use a template because this is an art, and I don't want to be restricted with that, with the flow. But I guarantee you, if you are sitting at a board, it's already set up. It's already there for you. You have a knob that sends to the reverb. You don't have to make the knob. It's already there.
It's a good
And
point.
if you're running in a Pro Tools or any other DAW, I personally use Pro Tools majority of the time, and why not have that template? Have your sends and your returns set up with those go-to plugins. It's to me, it makes all the sense in the world. It expedites the process, and you can be more artistic that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely, at least for myself, I can be more artistic that way. I am 100% believer, and I don't think it's necessary to have 10 different 1176 emulations. You're going to buy 10 different, I
Yeah.
just don't think it's necessary. You learn 2 or 3 of them, and you're about done. I
Yeah.
don't really think you need that many.
Especially if you get
Mhm.
something that's accurate. That's
Yeah.
where you have to spend your time learning what really does. Like many years, I'm sure we all probably learned. One of the first ones was the bomb factory stuff.
Yeah.
So we got that stuff, and you see it. It looks just like the unit, but it don't sound like the unit if you know what the real unit is. If you've ever had the real unit in your hands and used it and everything, so you learn what the sound of the bomb factory is, and it's useful for some things, and it kind of gets there, but it ain't exactly the same things. So that's where you spend your time learning the difference in what it does do well. And then there's other times when you're going to expect it to act like an 1176, a real 1176, and it just isn't up to the task because there's nothing like a real 1176. The closest you're going to get to it is the UAD plugins themselves, because that is the company. The rest of them, Waves is good. There are emulations. I love certain ones, but each one is a little bit different, and it depends on how what machine they model, and then it also depends on what's getting fed to it, because analog is way more forgiving than digital, because they build the digital on an algorithm, and an algorithm basically is taking a guesstimate of how to spit the numbers back out on you based on so the variables that the programmer can think of. Whereas analog doesn't make any guesses. It's just what you plug it in and it does its thing. It doesn't have to guess. It is what it is already. That's why it's analog. So you can feed anything through it and it's still going to act like an 1176 and treat it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more, Khaliq. I really couldn't. And even for guys who've never had a piece of hardware in their hand, I think the principle still applies to the software.
Absolutely.
If you're using your stock compressor that came in whatever DAW, whether it's Sonar or Presonus, it doesn't make a difference to me. If that's your first plugin, then that's the one you get to know.
Yeah.
And that can become your baseline for future when you do a trial of Waves plugin. And then you really know how to compare that. Because until you understand what you have and how it works, there's no way to really compare something else.
Right. And plus, if you have the understanding of knowing how it works, you can also create and emulate that. For example, the 1176s we use as an example. We know it's a very fast attack, fast response type plugin. That means its slew rate is very quick to kick in, whereas other compressors, depending on whether they're tubed, depending on just how they're put together, may let a little bit of a peak go through before they start kicking in and doing their thing. Sometimes you want that rounding off effect. Other times you want that thing to just come out and get you. 1176s have a characteristic when you have a faster attack time, it actually introduces a little distortion into the sound that you can use as an effect to affect your sound and make it come out by putting the attack and the release at different spots. Quick release, quick attacks, and things like that, and find a little sweet spot. You can get some amazing things happening with that plugin. But you have to know what it does on the different the different ways it's set up and everything, but you can also emulate it with other things. You might have to use a combination. You say, okay, here's what the 1176 does, and here's what I'm hearing, but I don't have an 1176, so maybe I need to have my stock plugins, and maybe I need to use two instances and have the first instance handle the attack, have the second instance have a slower attack because the first attack is taken care of now. So have the second instance carry the middle part that sustains it out, and maybe even the third one, or have it function as a limiter. And it could be the same plugin, different instances, but to get a characteristic similar to an 1176 or anything else you're trying to emulate, if you understand what that thing does and the sound you're trying to get, just use your combinations to get them there. Jason, you got any comments on it? I see you stepped away for a second, so I know you might be busy, but if you can hear us and you want to get on. Your camera's having issues? Okay. Do your thing, bro, and we'll come back to you. Yeah, I see the green back there. Man, I don't know is it Google Hangouts in general having different things or what's going on? I mean, I've been on some different Hangouts with folks. Everybody seems to have issues every now and then. And the thing is I'm not complaining about Google Hangouts because, heck, we're doing this for free. It's a great thing to have this type of resource going for us. But, is something going on, man? Joseph, have you seen it across the board, or am I just imagining it?
I just turned really green a minute ago. My camera just went green as could be, on the Hulk,
Yeah.
And, I really don't have any idea how it works. I have a basic idea, but I can't even imagine the strain. I mean, we talk about computers. I mean, what the heck does Google's computer look like? You know?
Computers, yeah, they got
Yeah,
them all over the
exactly.
world. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, it's the size of Manhattan. You
it's
know,
it's pretty
or
amazing.
bigger.
It's pretty amazing what
Yeah.
companies, huge monolith type of companies like Google and
Hmm.
Amazon and eBay and all those that have to really service so many people
Hmm.
widely. It's ridiculous, you know. Hey, well, okay, well, I wanted to get on to another question. Somebody submitted to me a while back, and I happened to be going back through some old stuff, and I saw it, and I was like, you know, that's an interesting thing. Somebody was once asked me, Khaliq, what does it take to win a Grammy? You know, and I couldn't answer the question because I was like, well, I don't know, but I
Hmm.
guess the first thing I would say on answering that question, because for me it started out with having the dream. When I was a kid and first getting into music and everything, I just started out with the dream of me saying one day I'm gonna have a Grammy. You know, from watching the Grammy
Hmm.
Awards when you get excited and you're young and you just have a dream.
Hmm.
Had no idea how that thing was gonna come together for me, but you know now all these years and decades later, you know I have one and have come close to having others, you know, and many nomination awards and things on that on different projects and everything. But when somebody maybe reflect on, well, what does it take to get that? I was like, well, it all started out with that dream, and then I guess the second part of it was is building on the dream for me learning how to be excellent in what I do, no matter what it is. If I'm gonna waste well, not waste my time. If I'm gonna take my time, I don't want to waste my time. If I'm gonna take my time to do anything, it's got to be at an excellent level, you know. And it's a mindset. Mindset is so big in our industry because we got several people that have the mindset. There's two people that have the mind. The first one has the mindset that they're not quite good enough because they've been beat down by everybody telling them they're not good enough. So you get that internal dialogue in yourself saying you can't do it. How do I know this? Because am and was one of those people. It's a battle that I constantly fight. Colleague, you know, somebody told you when you were a kid, you'll never be this, you'll never be that.
Hmm.
Somebody said you're not good enough, you know, you can't do that, you know, that's impossible, you know, look where you're from, look, you know, or look, you know, what you know, you don't know what they know. They went to school to do, you know, I never went to any kind of engineering school. I learned completely everything that I know at this point completely by either being self-taught or by the grace of God of somebody giving me the mentor. They say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That happens for me over and over again in every aspect of my life. When I wanted to learn how to play guitar, you know, people in the neighborhood that saw me seriously wanting to do it, you know, and over time they saw that because at first everybody says they want to do it and then they don't want to put in the work. When they saw me putting in the work constantly on a regular basis, then a couple of people came out and showed me some things and say, okay, well, if you do this, and so I got better that way. Um, when I was being a songwriter, wanting to get better at songwriting, and didn't have nothing. Somebody gave me the opportunity to use their studio when I came out here to California. I've told you guys this, but somebody was watching me. You never know who's watching you, so you always got to be on it if it's really in your heart. And it was in my heart. Nobody had to make me stay long hours in the
Right.
studio at night. I didn't have. I was never forced to do that. Um, and somebody was watching me, and then like I said, when it's ready, the teacher will appear. So the guy said, do you want there's an opening here for Kenny Rogers in his studio, Lion Share Studios. I didn't really know it was one of the biggest studios in the world, but I did know who Kenny Rogers was at the time. He's one of the biggest artists in the world,
Hmm.
but I could not stand country music at that time. I'm an R&B and funk guy, you know, coming straight out the hood of Pittsburgh, and we didn't play none of that kind of music. But it was an opportunity. And then when I got in, if I'm gonna, like I said, my mindset is this: if I'm gonna take the time, I'm not gonna waste my time. You know, my mindset is I'm gonna dig in and learn everything I got to do. When my time is up on the clock that I'm getting paid for, I'm gonna stay here afterwards and dig into manuals and learn about this. I'm gonna stay in and watch over some guys' shoulders and ask, "Do you mind if I just sit in the corner and just watch you guys?" And I shut up and just hang out in the back. If I saw that somebody needed something or whatever, even though I wasn't part of it, you know, I'll get it. Let them keep working, and I do it and be helpful and all these things. It was a natural thing to me, you know. So how do you get a Grammy? You get a Grammy by all of these things. Your mindset growing from your first dream, and then just doing the little stuff that you need to do to get there to that next level. You know, we got Dave on. What's up, Dave? Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up, man?
yeah. And you know, this is a it's just a process that you can't make it happen, but it'll organically happen when you make sure. Dave, I'm going to go ahead and mute you for a hot second.
Okay.
It'll organically happen when you make sure you do the little stuff to get that dream to crystallize more and more. Suddenly, the people that you need in your life to get on the right project, you know, Dave Hampton, who just got on with us now, and he'll talk with you later. How did I get a Grammy? Well, I got a Grammy largely responsible to him indirectly because he opened the door for me to meet Dave Isaac, who's another engineer. We didn't know each other or anything, but Dave introduced us and said, hey, you guys will get along together. You know, Dave was doing a project for Marcus, and then Dave Isaac at the time was doing everything for Marcus, engineering, co-producing, helping him songwrite, all kinds of things. So it was a bit too much for him at the time. So he and I clicked on the engineering thing. We found out we both love martial arts and everything. We're both in the Bruce Lee, and it just kind of happened organically. So he's like, well, Khaliq, why don't you come in and do the engineering, so that'll free me up to do the producing, because that's what I really like to do. I do the engineering side because I can do it. But Dave Isaac, and I always tell him, you know, he doesn't like to separate the two, and I don't think he should. I mean, he's every bit as good as an engineer, but as a producer, Dave Isaac, I've seen some stuff out of him that I really know that if he had the real big breakthrough chance, and that's the thing. We all just need a breakthrough chance, you know. I know that what I do is good enough to be on a par of whatever's out there. You know, I've learned that now because I got the right foundation. But I never consider myself any better or any worse than anybody because I know it's a luck of the draw a lot of times. So how do you win the Grammy? It's a luck of the draw many times. You just might end up meeting the right person. Suddenly they want you to hang out. They like your vibe, and they just say, okay, hang out on this project. And you might not know but so much, but next thing you know, you're on a Grammy-winning project, and so you win a Grammy because you happen to be there. So it really doesn't, you know, people a lot of times think you got to be this big, brilliant person to get to this level and everything. I think more than anything, as far as brilliance being a part of it, I think it's more of you having the work ethic inside of you, the dream and the fire in your gut, in your belly, to just do the best you can, be the most helpful you can, be a sponge and learn. All the people that are around you, you got gurus around you that have done it. They're watching you out the side of your eye. You may not even know it because they're doing their thing, but they're just kind of seeing what kind of energy has this person got. Are they real? They're doing their thing. And then suddenly they want you around. I've told you guys many times, I ended up watching the other day, I have the DVD of the 25th anniversary of the making of We Are the World, you know. So there's a lot of people that weren't even born then. They don't even have a clue what that means anymore. But when I watched that again, it brought it all back because all behind the scenes of knowing what happened from the day one of watching and being excited for us to prepping that Michael Jackson is coming in, Quincy Jones is coming in, Lionel Richie's coming in, Stevie Wonder was originally supposed to come in and write with them that night. I remember us all waiting until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but you know, because Stevie is blind, he's on his own time thing, so he doesn't have the circadian clock like the rest of him, so he ends up coming at a whole nother time frame and everybody else is out. But I remember us all staying up and awake and ready for that situation. But I wasn't supposed to be on that project. Humberto Gatica, the head engineer on that, was watching me, what I did with other people and on other projects. And when I was done with their project, I come in his room and hang out with him. Wasn't on the project, but just hanging out. And, you know, occasionally when I saw an opportunity, I might ask what he's doing or whatever, or watching him go through things and all that. It taught me. And then they start requesting you to come in. And that's exactly what it was. The project was so big and so huge. It was like, we need somebody we know we can trust to get stuff done because we can't do it all. But the key word was we need somebody we know that we can trust. We can do our thing, and we can leave you to your devices what we need you to get done, not watch over you and know when we come back it's done right. You're the type of person that has care in your heart to make sure that it's done right. I didn't know, I was the youngest and most inexperienced engineer on that project, but I was given a chance at the world's biggest project at the time because of it wasn't my skills by anything. I totally admit that. I got a chance to do some engineering on it. Do some overdubs and stuff like that. I helped make up the different work tapes that they needed to do. Some little sub mixing of stuff they trust you to do, little stuff like that, editing and stuff like that. Even the final master was left in my hands to do the final edits on the project that big. And I can't even tell you that at that time I was so tired and everything. I almost had a disaster. I ain't gonna tell y'all what it was, but I almost had a disaster. But I woke myself up and recovered from all of this, because it's like you got to have the care, and they got to know that they can trust you and they can leave and they ain't got to worry back when they come back and things are falling apart. I've got multi-million dollars in my hands and stuff. It's my responsibility. So it's my responsibility to make sure everything that was left in my hands is right and there's no problem. And I did it, and I'm proud to say that I was a part of that. But it was so scary for me to get in there, and it was scary for me all along the way, especially as you work like 36 hours straight with no sleep, and you're getting tired and getting loopy and seeing double vision and all that. Dude, it is the most thing. But that is how you get it. It's the spirit. It has nothing to do with how I tweak a compressor, how I turn what EQ frequency. It has nothing to do with that. And it took me a while to realize that. And as I'm describing this now, I really take even more pride in realizing that it's way beyond anything that has to do with the skill set of engineering and a musician. It's an internal thing that you have to have for yourself. It's intangible. Then, like I said, there's two type of people. The first type thinks that they're not good enough. The other type thinks they're too good. They already got it, and they're so blown up in their head. You know, and to me, those are the people that are really in the most danger because they think they're better than they actually are, and they might get in and get in a situation, and they might even win a Grammy and win all these awards, and then that'll really go to their heads. But the thing that usually happens is they can't sustain because they're tripping a little bit. And so I definitely prefer being on the other side because it keeps you striving. Even though my inner dialogue sometimes tells me, hey, Khaliq, you don't know enough, you're next to this guy. This guy went, even I got people coming up now and they got all this technical information. They've gone to Full Sail and Berkeley and Crass and all these other schools that are here in the U.S. or they came from overseas and top-notch educations. I didn't have none of that. I had on-the-job training. Figure it out, Khaliq. you know, but to me, it's like I figured it out, so I can have that same any conversation I need to have. I can work at the same level. And the bottom line is even though I may not even be as technically adept as a lot of different people out there, the bottom line is we're in the audio business. So put up the song, listen, and what do the people feel? Many times, now not all the time, because like I said, I ain't fooling myself too. So many times I miss the mark too, but more times than not now because I've kept my mind open, my ears open, and my heart open. More times than not, I can make what I do get felt and compete right there with with anything else that's out there, and it sounds just as good, feel just as good, and I'm constantly learning. That's more from me being the caring person of I've got to make this kill. I've got to make this kill. Let me put it up and listen next to such and such. Oh man, they're killing me. Okay, I got to go back in and do some more work. Oh man, it sounds louder. Oh, sounds brighter. It sounds bass. It's got more weight. So I'll go back in and find all these things. If I'm missing something, find it and then inject it in. Or I'll come to make the decision. If, say, for example, the source material I've been given just doesn't have what I need in it, do I have the option to replace or add to some of the stuff? And if I do, then that's fine because I know it needs it. So let's add to it and make it better. If I have to take it as it is, then I have to make the decision. Okay, it is what it is. You do the best that you can, but it ain't gonna get no better than this. And you know, if anybody else can do any better, I don't have an answer. You know, you have to know when to say, I don't have an answer for you on this one. You know, so I think that's really how you get to it. You know, I'm gonna have Dave come in and chime in too in a minute, and have you guys comment, because I really think mindset is a huge thing in our industry. And when somebody asks me the question, how do you get a Grammy? How do you win a Grammy? You know, so it has nothing to do with your skill sets of tweaking. You know, it's really not that. Dave, why don't you chime in for a second, okay, on that?
What was the question? Because I came in mid-story. What was the question?
Somebody asked me, well, it actually didn't happen recently. Somebody had sent me an email, and I was going back through some old stuff and everything, and I thought it piqued my question again, because I was watching We Are the World the other day on DVD and everything. Somebody said, Khaliq, how do you win a Grammy? You know, and I couldn't answer that question. Because it's like, how do you answer that? So I had to think about, well, yeah, how do you? And then I was telling him it really started from me having the dream, but more importantly, it started from once I had the dream, and I had the mindset of taking the steps to do the right thing to get to it. And then God and the universe put me in the right places. You know, you were indirectly why I have the Grammy, because you introduced me to Dave Isaac. You know, so it's like, you know, you take it from there. I mean, how do you get stuff like that?
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, look at that, and I look at it a couple ways. How do you win? How do you win in, you know, anything? But moreover, on that same project, I got a chance to win an award as well, because I was just having my head down doing what I always do, which is record Herbie's piano.
Yeah.
So the songs that were on the album that we recorded piano on, like some of those were nominated. So it's like, you just stick your head down and keep working. When you're working on a project, you're not thinking, oh, yeah, okay, this is going to be the Grammy one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you're so far from it. You're trying to do a list of work that you got to complete by a certain time. And sometimes some of that work takes on a path after it leaves your hands that you have no control over.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's of the caliber where it'll go something, it'll attach to something. I mean, how many times did we do something like you know, Happy Feet, where we just were busy doing a lot of work, and then all of a sudden something comes out, and my man does a soundtrack, and oh yeah, that's that song we were working on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. You know, we'll know it as that song we were working on, because we're working on something else at the time. We don't know the path that song takes once it finishes.
Many times it takes a path years later too.
Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But part of it is just taking care of your lane, you know, what you're asked to do, and like he was saying, doing it in such a fashion that you have some care and concern about your work, and that the creative people around you can trust you, and that in itself sets you up for the possibility of doing something that may take on that path. But it's your individual contribution that you got to be super intense about. You can't sell short the fact that you're just a cable holder.
Right.
I had a friend of mine who got a chance to work on the Olympics. Oh, I'm just holding cables. That's all he used to say. I'm just holding cables. I'm going like, you're holding cables in the Olympics.
At the Olympics.
You have passed the security clearances, and you're making about $36 an hour holding cables. So that is, you know, even though you're in school for something technical, it might not be the reward you were wanting when you entered school, but not very many people get the honor of working at the Olympics, getting paid an accelerated rate to hold cables. And when I say hold cables, I mean literally hold cables.
Yeah.
So you know, it's one of those things where it's all how you look at it. You know, I look at the jobs that I choose and the things that I do, I try and look at them with a bigger picture than just, I'm taking this because of this, I'm doing this. No, I do it because in a bigger way it fits into the puzzle of things that I want to contribute to, and I feel have the right match for me. You know, my magic ain't for everybody. You know, what makes me special is I'm probably the best version of me there is.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what I worry about being. I don't worry about the next man is quicker, the next man is stronger, or she knows this, or he knows, a lot of times I think that's a thing that a lot of us saw when Pro Tools hit our industry and we kind of ushered the tape machine in the hallway, is we saw instantly the landscape of the studio change, and we got all these arrogant people in this control room who were very quick. They're very quick, so they figured because they were quicker, it was their territory now. And because there were these tools that had been moved out from the past, we didn't need the people from the past. We got the new stuff, and I'm quick, and I'm the new gun in town. And so you have a lot of people who are into competition like that. What they fail to realize is that individual projects by creative people are not about competition amongst technical support.
Right.
It's about their project. And if you get caught up trying to show who you are and how quick you are and all these arrogant, self-motivated, ego-driven things, you're going to be so far off mark. It's you don't have to worry about a Grammy. You don't have to worry about people just running when they see you, because you're so not about business. You're about yourself. I think that's the really nowadays. It's really coming back into fashion. We joke a lot about the digital age and all this other stuff, but really right now the key to anybody's success is how well are you analog. What are your analog skills? And when I say analog skills, I'm not talking about plugins. What is your face-to-face method like when you need to be a professional individual, sell yourself, and support creative activity? What kind of person are you?
Yeah.
If you are a person who hides behind a digital self, then you're not going to really be too good in the analog real time. You're just not, because you work better in hidden conditions where nobody can margin call you on what you do and don't know.
Yep.
Some people are, they're very good at just laying back in the digital world and playing quote, double quote, let me say this, soundbite, picture, soundbite. And eventually that'll wear thin, because you have to have a trail where you leave some things that you've done and some people that are happy, and they say, hey, you know what, I worked with him, it was a really good experience. Yeah, we did this, or you know what, they turned me on to this. If you can, people always have something good to say about you, that's great. You're not trying to get everybody to like you. What you're trying to do is be a positive contribution to everywhere you go, because every situation is going to be different. Some situations are going to require you to be the leader, in the real sense, and work with artists and help them get through what they're trying to do. Some will involve you needing to lead silently by just letting the room be the room, but you be the setup in such an efficient way that you make everybody come to attention and work. Right?
That's right.
You can be in control without saying a word, just by setting up an environment that is strictly looked at as, don't play around here, this is where we work. Right? And the minute you do that, it adds order to a situation, and people appreciate that. Even if they want to run wild and loose and have all these other things going on, they'll know that area right there is controlled. And some people need to know that. They need to know it's going to be okay. So it's, the trust thing is big, and all of it. Winning awards is a byproduct of good activity, consistent good activity. And the offshoots of that are success, the second call, the third call, and sometimes recognition.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm just typing something in here. A couple people have sent me some stuff. But also, Dave, a little bit off topic too, because we just had a big earthquake up in San Francisco area, Napa Valley and all that. And Dave was just up there, boy. You got shaken up a little bit last night.
Yeah, I was in my hotel room early this morning. It was like, I was so glad I was on the early flight.
Oh man! So it was enough to wake you up, but
I was already up, I was packing my bag.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's good.
But when you're from California and you feel an earthquake, and it's one where you're shaking, you're like, oh no, it's not. In the back of your mind. Then when it starts shaking a little bit more, you're like, oh no. Like, what floor am I? I was on the 8th floor.
Oh, you're on the eighth floor. Wow, yeah. And see, and then the worst thing is when you're not home. You know, so that's the
Exactly.
worst thing. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so hoping that bridge is okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's the first thing. They're checking out a lot of bridges and everything. They showed some cracks and stuff like that. I was looking on the news where some things
Mhm. Oh, it wasn't
some
a joke. No,
yeah,
they had it was no joke. So.
yeah, 6.1 is pretty strong, you know, so
Mhm.
it's like they was the strongest one since the one that hit one during the World
Northridge.
Series that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're okay, bro, and everything. Yeah, I was just wondering as soon as I saw that when I woke up, I was like, oh, let me see if my boy's
I
okay.
could not believe it. It's so funny when I was coming into the Bay, somebody asked me, "Hey, do you like the Bay?" I'm going like, "No, not really." They go, "Why not? It's so pretty." I said, "We should watch the History Channel about San Francisco and earthquakes and things, you know." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty scary, and that one big quake that they had that went. I think they had one in the past. I can't remember how big it was, but it was way bigger than this one.
Hmm.
The one where the bridge went down and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was back then. That was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, man, and then you were doing the gig with Vince and all them, so the gig was cool, success, lots of
It
people
was
there.
very good. It was a San Francisco Jazz Festival.
Cool.
It was
Cool. Oh,
very
cool.
Yeah, it would talk about things coming against you. We get into town. We got into town Friday. The hotel wasn't ready, so we went to go meet and have breakfast. Parked in a parking structure. Car got broken into. All the computers stolen. A bunch of
Oh,
equipment stolen. So it's like we were thinking, okay, you're just feeling bad, and
oh man.
we go, okay, let's call the rent a car place around the corner. Let's go get another car. So all the time I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a good gig. This so many things are happening, trying to come against it.
Wow, man.
Pull into the rent a car place, and this couple is in front of us, and they're going, okay, yeah, you just got your car broken into. And they go, yeah, yeah. I'm going like, really, So it turns out they were in the same structure on the third floor. We were on the fourth floor. We're both standing there comparing stories, and another car pulls in,
What?
busted rear window. Their car got stolen.
Oh man, wow.
So it turns out that this is a very popular thing on there because at the night after rehearsal, we going back to the room. I turned on the news, and on the news they said, oh, the rash of robberies and parking structures, and they just showed the cameras and showed how easily these guys are coming up, breaking into cars, and but it just one of those things where it was just the absolute worst way to start a gig,
Yeah,
where you get in, you're going, okay, let's get there early just to be on the safe side. Get there early, trying to be on the safe side, and you get that happen to you. And we didn't even have a rehearsal yet. So we had to just shake it off and get right to rehearsal and then finally do the gig. But it was good. Everything went fine.
that's cool.
Everything went fine. But yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
you
something.
said that, but they didn't get your computer, right?
No, they didn't get mine. They got everybody else's, but I didn't have mine out. I had mine in my bag, and my bag was kind of, you'd have to know it was in there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So I
But
always carry
usually
my
I
stuff
take a
with me.
lot of stuff. Usually I take a lot of stuff with me. Usually I take a backpack filled with all my other things I'm working on. And this time, for some reason, when I left, something told me don't take anything other than what you need.
Yeah.
And so I left everything I usually take, and I was so glad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, bro. That's very lucky, and it's sad that the other people ended up losing their computers because we know how
Oh
that is.
man.
You
Yeah.
carry your life in your computer, so.
Yeah, it was the production manager lost his, the production assistant, and then the merch computer was lost. So they had to quick do it. But the good thing about iPads and stuff, they have a locate function. So we at rehearsal we located it.
Oh, cool, cool.
We were
Hmm.
watching the little map. You can find where your thing has been, the
Yeah,
trail
right.
of where it's been since it's been missing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
did that actually work, huh?
It actually works,
Did
yeah.
it?
It
Yeah.
gives you an option of blanking the memory out.
Okay.
Some people try and offer a reward and stuff, but
Wow.
Yeah.
have your iPad held hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
man, I guess that beats taking a human hostage. But,
You know, but it's just those kind of times, man. Big people are very
mhm.
desperate. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke. Well, I guess we ain't got nothing to complain about. 'Cause,
Nothing, nothing. No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and all you can do when you come back to your car and something like that, and you feel violated. But the other thing is, you got to be glad nobody was hurt.
that's
Yeah.
the main thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Mm.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
that's a great story, Dave. You
yeah,
got your car broken into, your crap got stolen, and you were in an earthquake.
All in
yeah.
one.
All,
Yeah,
all
all in a
in
couple of
all in
days.
one outing.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
went out. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh man.
yeah.
And
The
you didn't get
earthquake was
paid
San
extra.
Francisco's way of saying, "Get out of here."
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh
Well, I
man.
guess you ain't too anxious to go to San Francisco anytime soon.
You know what? I go back. I go back. I mean, I enjoy it. I always like going if there's something to do.
Hmm.
I'm not a particular fan of super crowded streets and some of the ways that certain cities are laid out. It's uncomfortable. The drive up there, I like the scene, scenery. I like the coast route. I know all of it, but not a fan of the city, man. But the
I hear
venue was nice. I got to say this. That was probably the one of the nicest places we played in a long time. It's 18 months old. It was
Mm.
built specifically for jazz. It was built. It was built. It's the San Francisco Jazz Center,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's an amazing acoustically presented environment. Every seat is a good seat. Seats about
Excellent.
I think 860 people, something like that.
Oh, cool.
But
Who all was on the build,
it
David?
was just us. It was
Oh, it's
just us.
just okay, cool.
Yeah, what they do is they have a summer series, and each night they feature somebody. Like the night before us was Esperanza Spalding and her band,
Oh,
and
very cool. I like.
last night was Doc Severinsen. I mean, after tonight is Doc Severinsen.
Tonight's Doc Severinsen.
Doc
Okay.
Severinsen and his orchestra. So he was at the show last night, though. He was real cool. He was
Oh,
real
cool,
cool.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So it was good. You always see a great caliber of musicians there, and just all kinds of stuff happening. But it was a real acoustically. The venue was just so nice, and the crew was real good.
Hmm.
Everything, and we had a lot of people, man. We had 12 people
Wow,
on stage. That's a lot of
that's
band
a
members.
lot of band members. Yeah, right.
Hmm.
That's a pretty big band member. Cool, cool, man. Hey, what's up, Andrew? How you doing
Hey
today?
guys. Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Just woken up from a nap, so I'm a little bit groggy. So see how I get on. I was helping out at like a community arts festival today from like about 9:30, and they put me in charge of loads of like the kids' activities. So I was running a bouncy castle and other stuff. So
You
a
had
little
you were in charge of the bounce castle.
yeah. I'm a little bit out of it, but hopefully you get some decent information out of me today.
Oh, it's cool though, man. Yeah, yeah, boy. They need to have a bounce castle for engineers or something, man.
Oh, I think there's a really big gap in the market for like adult bouncy castles and play areas. I think you put a bar in there, and it's going to be the best thing in the world.
Yeah. Oh man, it's funny. It's
So,
funny.
what are we discussing tonight, guys?
If you put a bar in there, you'd need a dentist on the other side on the exit.
Oh.
You know?
I
Yeah.
think you need some really severe bounces as well. Like, it'd be quite athletic.
Man, we've been
Fantastic.
talking some just general stuff. We were talking about plugins earlier. I saw a thing. Fab Filter, has an update to their plug, their Pro C. Pro Q version 2.
Oh,
We're
sweet.
talking, yeah, it's coming out. I think it might be out now. And then we were talking about some different manufacturers and knowing how to deal with that. We were also talking about somebody had sent me a question and asked, "How do you win a Grammy? How do you get a Grammy?" So I was giving my point of view about how you need to start with a dream and build on that towards your passion to get. Oh, we got double Daves here right now, and build toward your passion and everything, and then basically the rest is Providence looking out for you, God putting you with the
Yeah.
right people, all this. there's no, I couldn't answer the question in any straight way because there's no plan to get it. A lot
No,
of
it's a
things come
broad
together.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I guess like I know nothing about this because hell, I have like the most I've been paid for a job so far is like £100. So like I'm nowhere near any kind of like Grammy winning stuff. But I guess it's just kind of being in right place at right time and being the best mixer you can be.
Yeah, that's it. Well, see, that's the thing. The way to win a Grammy or any kind of awards and things like that is to have the Grammy winning attitude, regardless of what your wallet looks like.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I got to tell you, at the time when I won my Grammy, I was making all right, but it was, the average salary that an engineer, especially an independent engineer, can make. I was working on a lot of jazz stuff, so not huge budgets and things like that. So what I could make basically went up and down according to who I was working with at the time and what was available in the budgets at the time for different things. So wasn't a huge amount of money. So it definitely, when you think about people winning Grammys, there's a lot of people that are still probably making very, very regular wages. Regardless of that, it didn't. While it's nice for me to have, and I love being able to say that, forever I'll be a Grammy award-winning engineer. But the thing is it hasn't drastically or dramatically changed my whole life. I still have to hustle as much as I did as far as, working, getting in different things, and staying on the cutting edge of what I need to learn to stay relevant, all that. Nothing changes on that.
Did you find you getting more work after, like, in the initial period after you got it?
To be honest with you, it was pretty much about the same because I guess Dave can tell you this too. A lot of times the way we get our work is through word of mouth. It's not word of Grammy. So yeah, it really is.
I gotta use that one.
Yeah. So, that is how it is. People call you because they heard about you or somebody says you need to call Khaliq, you need to call Dave or such and such. Things come up. Dave was talking to me the other day and a guy that I worked with the Justin Timberlake thing, I guess he liked what me and Dave did and all that back in the day. So he calls again and says, hey, can you come and do some other stuff, And it's word of mouth when somebody knows that they can trust you, they like what you did, and they'll tell other people or somebody else says, this is the guy you need to call. You can trust him. He'll get the job done. He'll do a great thing for you. Dave stays work constantly because Dave does stuff, and then when he's gone, people can see the work that he did, and then somebody, hey, who did your room, or who did this or that other, or who, whatever Dave is coming in to do the function, he always does it at a high level so that when he leaves, that high level still, the resonance of that stays there long after he's gone, and it speaks for itself. The people that are around to say, oh, that was Dave Hampton, he needed to do that. You need to call him, he did this, and man, he did a job. They're looking, oh yeah, he did a great job, man. I need to give him a yell.
I think you're totally right about like a trust thing because you're not dealing with people's music, you're dealing with their emotion. Because if they've spent 15 years getting this album together and they've finally got enough money to pay for it, or they've just got a record deal or something, and you're the person that's going to craft it all into something that meets commercial standard or whatever, try and meets their vision. They've got to believe in you so full-heartedly so that you can do it.
Yeah.
And if you deliver, you're giving them everything they need.
If you deliver. Hey, we got Steve Jobs on this video call. What's up, Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs.
Oh, not
Jobs. Right. Steve Jobs on here. Okay, well, before we're done, we're going to add the S to it.
Steve Jobs.
Steve multiple jobs.
And we're talking about your cousin. I need a job.
I need a job. You don't want that one. Steve got a job. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing all right. Hey man, this is your first time getting a chance to join us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? Tell us about yourself.
My name's Mohammed Arar. I'm all the way from Dubai, and I'm studying as a sound engineer, recording technician, and basically, I just came on just to check you guys out. I just finished a course in London College of Music, just finished a record deal with Sony Music Middle East.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
That's my most recent stuff, so yeah. But
So,
I wanted just to come on, just to ask you a few questions and hear what you guys are talking about. So just go for it. I just want to listen.
What's your questions?
Oh, I'm currently building my studio upstairs, and I just wanted to ask, what storage do you guys use? Cloud storages, like external cloud storages. Do you have any specials?
Right now, the popular one that I'm talking to is Gobbler.
Gobbler.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, are
That's
you
it.
hip to that? Are you hip to that, Steve? Gobbler?
I mean, Gobbler, I've never actually used it, to be
But
honest.
you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
seen it.
The reason why I've been looking at it more and more, I saw them early on when they showed the product, and then we had some meetings and they were asking everybody's input. And one of my suggestions they took to heart, which was that they should talk to the manufacturers of the DAWs and get kind of automatically inside the DAW, so that when you're creating, you can automatically send things to the cloud.
Okay.
It's just because redundancy needs to be worked in somewhere there, and a lot of people don't necessarily have sufficient storage capabilities when they're working, but they need a cloud-based relationship. I
Dave?
think eventually everybody will need some.
And it works with Pro Tools 11?
Yes. In fact,
Okay.
I believe there's a little G button on your control panel.
It's
Yeah, I'm
integrated
looking at that
right
right
in
now.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you got? Are you actively using that with your Pro Tools, Dave?
No, just started to implement it with some of the clients, and they
Okay.
seem to like it a lot.
All right. I have not yet at
Yeah,
this
as
time.
they transition, a lot of people are still slow to transition all the way to 11.
I've got 11 installed and I'm using it now more.
Yeah.
I still use 10, probably 60-70% of the time. And there's just, I don't know if it's a trust thing that I have with the cloud-based storage.
Well, yeah, a lot of it. That's
you know?
that's the primary thing working against the concept, is that it is unseen. It's kind of, I always explain to them in technical meetings, it's kind of like your faith, right?
Yes.
You have it, but you can't see it.
You can't
Well,
see
my
it.
guy's gonna be over here at 4 o'clock. I'm gonna go have coffee with him. You know, it's a belief system that you have to believe is going to work. And of course, when you're doing something technical, the one thing we always go is, well, it's only as good as when it breaks down. But can you imagine having all your songs somewhere and all of a sudden you can't get to it, or it's gone, or, you know, it's a pretty weird feeling. So I think cloud-based relationships have a ways to go, because they have to ensure against things going wrong. But when we're right inside the DAW, it makes that kind of it gives you that peace of mind, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we've come a long way from where we were. You know, Khaliq and I have seen many versions of this cloud relationship, be it communication or storage, and so it's nowhere near where it started out. Really in a good place now.
And
It's going to get tighter.
it works. Gobbler works with, like, actually there is a hardware that they just like paired with G technology.
G Drive.
G-Drive.
They're in bed. Yeah.
I mean, as long as you have a piece of hardware that's you can access with your cloud.
I think everybody should have a personal drive, what I'll call personal asset management system. If you don't, you should. You should have somewhere where you keep your creative documents. You should have somewhere where you keep all the things or copies of what you can that you work on for other people, so that if you need to go back to it, you have a chain of evidence that's pure. Because somebody else can bring you something, it might be corrupted, you know. Keep copies of what you do. Keep documentation on what you do. But everybody should have a data plan. Everybody should have some kind of data management chain that they have. We used to have multiple redundant systems, so we would basically have 2 hard drives and a tape backup, or 2 hard drives and a DVD. It was some form of redundant backup that we would do, and it's changed over the years. So we've got loads of tape cartridges that we used to have, and things just because that's what data was back then. You had to double and triple check to make sure you were going to have some way of going back and recalling this information. But like I said, the stuff that G Drive makes now, they actually have some custom stuff that they built for a lot of the people who do movies and stuff and do a lot of music, and those systems are fine. Somebody who could get a basic cartridge system, they have a machine that it has, I think, two terabyte slots in a tape backup, and you can load it with different configurations. But they make good products.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you, man. Thank you for the input. I just want to check what you guys were up to with that, because Gobbler seems to be the way. If it's linked straight with
and eventually, a lot of people are comfortable just going to the cloud. I think also that's one of the things where guys like Khaliq and myself, we had so much experience dealing with data the first time around. We know the cloud is there. Our proclivity and consistency on using the cloud first thing in our minds, not always. I got to be honest. Not always. We're only going to trust the things we trust. And back to that same word we've been talking about all day. It's a trust thing. And so, if a project can be backed up redundantly inside the means of what we have, we'll more often choose to do that.
Yeah.
But for other situations, Gobbler is fine, because you're going to have those situations where you have large files.
Sure.
Something else that I found is a trip for me. These online backup solutions, any cloud solution, they're great, but I don't know. I'll be glad when they get to the point where they can move data a lot faster, because upload speed is so much slower than download speed. So that's why I don't, like Dave said, that may not necessarily be our first choice for some of these things, because down speed is not so much of an issue, but up speed really is, especially on the current connections that we're provided from our internet providers. So,
there's something to be said about having your backup medium connected via eSATA or even FireWire, and going home, before you go home for the night, you hit the button and you have faith, you believe, you hear it running, and it's all working, and you come back the next day and it's good, and that's kind of that might be considered old school now. I don't know, but
well, the main thing too that's funny, Joseph, is like with I'm always I'm like Dave as far as I have multiple, anything that I care about, I've got to have something tangible that I can carry in my hand. I also do a cloud backup, and then I'll have another. I'll clone the tangible thing and ideally take that somewhere else when I have enough time to do it, or whatever. But the thing that you never know about stuff in the cloud is it's going to work when you need it. You never really know that a lot of times. I've had some stuff uploaded, think it's okay, and then re-downloaded it back and it didn't work. I've had that happen a couple of times. Yeah. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen, because there's I think it probably depends on the system, but there's not always packet checks and stuff like that will ensure that the data integrity is absolutely exact and there. Because people don't realize a lot of times bits can get lost in the transmission.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing too that a lot of people take for granted is they will not look at the drive speed. They will not look at the medium of transfer. Like, you can use a USB 3.0 drive as a backup drive for your data. You know, I don't know that I'd necessarily use a USB 3.0 as a write-to drive or something I had to access if I was doing something where I needed to be going to it a lot.
No.
If I was doing a live gig, I'd use a faster medium like FireWire.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of.
I was looking at Thunderbolt as well.
Thunderbolt drives,
yeah, you could do Thunderbolt. Right now, I just got finished getting a Thunderbolt to 800 converters, and those work perfectly fine. So you just come right out of your Thunderbolt, turn it into a FireWire 800, and you can go to town. And you know, it works and it's perfectly fine. I think what happens with the Apple proprietary stuff is that right when we get into the system where everything's humping good, they're going to come and probably change Thunderbolt.
Right.
You know, just because that's what they do. That's what they do. But
I mean, with the new rumors of them changing headphone ports and the shape of them, I'm pretty sure Thunderbolt's going to be erased.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they're looking to lead everybody down whatever rabbit hole they can. You know?
Yeah.
But I think the bigger thing is figuring out kind of what works for you, and just getting a kind of a drive protocol in how you use what you use. You know, you can easily get some things on sale, but it helps to kind of pay attention to the hardware aspect of it too. You know, look and see if it's a Hitachi mechanism or it's a Seagate mechanism or it's a moving parts or it's an SSD. Look and see how your machine specs out with solid-state drives. Look and see what reports or anything you hear about solid-state drive failure. You know, those things are all important. The less moving parts, the better, right?
Yeah.
But
Theoretically,
but solid-state drives are a fact. You know, hybrid drives are also good. I have a couple of those I use in my laptops. You know.
Hey Dave, I gotta have a conversation with you too about because when I was taking my computer to get checked out too, that's the guy was telling me I need to just get an SSD boot drive. He said that's a big part of my problem for you know the way I tax my system. Like right now, I got a bunch of stuff going on, and I'm looking at my CPU percentage and a bunch of other things too. So as well as my computer being older, I'm like pushing it. So he's like, get an SSD drive because that can at least move the data faster and everything.
SSD is you know, you think about it as solid state, man. It's no moving parts. Everything is in there. It is what it is. So you're not accessing this spinning disk. You know, less transition, less physical chance of something going wrong.
Absolutely, yep.
And you know that really, if you think about how old that, as technical as it is, you know, when they used to show you the pictures of them making hard drives in the sterile environment with the people with the white suits on and stuff. It's a very antiquated process. That process is very old at this point. You know, we're talking almost 20 plus years old.
Yeah.
Right? And so with moving parts, there's more of a chance of something going wrong. Moving parts, let alone what part of the world you're in. Humidity adds a lot of possibility for moisture buildup inside of a sealed container. So, you know, you're in Dubai, right? So if somebody happens to have a bad run of drives that has a leak in the vacuum seal, and you get in an environment where it's extremely hot, you're inside of a computer. It's you know, I've seen all kinds of things where you would think, oh, it wouldn't be that, and it ends up being just that. Heat causes these things to do some very unusual things, and when you've got a computer-based lifestyle. Everything you do is based on a computer. Your first thing you owe it to yourself is to learn how to make that computer work as stress-free as possible. So that meter, one day maybe Khaliq, you'd do a thing on control panels that you can bring up to show your computer and what it's taxing, because I think it's important that people learn what stresses their computer out, what functions really tax the processor. If you really knew what things really tax the processor, you would understand sometimes when we go to use these things that we'll strip down a computer and won't have anything on it other than music software and anything that's intended to do music. We won't keep other things on the computer that we're never going to do on that computer if we want that computer to purely run music and do music efficiently.
Yeah.
You know. I think it's an extreme way to look at it, but you have to baby these things and figure out how to make them work consistent every time. It'll help you make the things last longer.
So that's a big thing too. That's a big problem that I face because I've got my thing on there. I'm doing video editing. I'm doing audio with Pro Tools Studio One. All these. I mean, streaming. I mean, so there's so many things that this computer has on. It's ridiculous now.
I mean, if I would give you a link for like the best way to see how strong an SSD is, Ian Golden, the DJ, he made for DJ Tech Tools, he made a video on SSD and hard disk drive. He ran like 200 something applications, including Ableton Tractor. SSD opened them up, no problem. Hard disk drive got stuck and crashed.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's a moving mechanism again.
Right.
You're asking it to do too much, and a lot of the things that it's doing, it's just overlapping. So it's got to read through all that code.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to going to a fixed specific location every time and finding exactly what it needs.
Yeah.
It's just so much. It's so much better, and you hate to say, "Oh, it's better," but it is. It is.
That's progress. Yeah, that's where things are.
It's progress, and sometimes progress works. Now, there are bad runs of solid-state drives, so when you're thinking about using solid-state inside your computer, again, please take a look at the information that they have on some of the hot sheets that tell you the preferred manufacturer or bad serial numbers of some lots of solid-state drives, solid-state memory cards.
Yep.
I have this feeling that, and this is completely unfounded. I recently bought a 12 120 gigabyte drives, and because I'm switching over to recording on that medium, because right now I'm just booting off a solid state, and I'm recording to spinning disk, and I have an account with Newegg, and that makes it easy to just call and say, give me this product. And sometimes they will push the on sale item. We have this whole batch of Kensington drives for $54.
Right.
And my first inclination is, why? What's wrong with that batch? Why? It doesn't seem right that drive can be sold for $54, and when I looked at the Samsung Evo, it's more than double that price, or just a little bit more than double. So I didn't want to go that route, even though money financially it makes sense, but I don't trust it.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, your first instinct is good to question it because you know what the going rate is, but it's not to say that there are not deals out there. There are, so I don't need all the stores writing in. But
right, exactly. Right.
I just really think that if you pay attention to it and know the conversation, you'll know, okay, cool, yeah, this is my first choice. It used to be, and we went through this from day one because we were trying to get quantity. So quantity over quality would be the question. The more gigs we could get, the better. And the minute we got to a terabyte and we still had some change in our pocket, we were jumping for joy. We didn't care who made it, right? That has changed to where we'll take consistency and low fallout over saving cost. If I were to tell everybody on here, hey, I've got some Western Digitals that I got for $20,
Where'd you get
a lot of people would jump on them, and you'd find a lot of Western Digitals jumping up, and there would be a lot of people having some problems because it's not necessarily being the cheapest is the best. And I don't need Western Digital writing in, but the truth is, Western Digital puts out a lot of product that has a high failure.
Absolutely.
So
people don't know that. That's why they're so cheap.
Right. So I'm saving money, and you always know the client that's trying to save money because he'll bring me a hard drive, and he'll bring you the on-sale Western Digital.
Yeah. I never buy them unless I have no other alternative. Yeah.
So, but try and keep your chain of hardware pure. Try and keep it in such a way where you never fall below a certain line. If you enjoy and your system has success and you're working with people, just suggest the drives that you like to see come in. Then that way, you're operating at an optimum level.
Mhm.
You don't have to get caught up in trying to make somebody's drive that you never saw that looks like they made it themselves, and you plug it in, you don't know what that thing's going to do to your system.
Oh,
That's
Dave.
the hardest part, man. It's like even just in getting people's files to work on, you don't know what you're getting along with getting those files.
Right.
You really don't.
No, you don't. That's the truth.
Yeah, and it's terrible that we have to say that, but it's like, you don't want any digital Ebola virus in your pure system,
Hmm.
and you're just sitting up here trying to help somebody do a mix, so
Right. No, I'd highly recommend that if it's at all possible to have a studio computer that does nothing but what the
Yeah.
studio requires. And like the computer I'm on now, if I wouldn't like it to get broken, but if it does, I'm not losing anything that is
right.
hasn't already been back. It's my personal use computer.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want with it. But if I caught somebody online with the workstation, I would be they'd be in a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, listen, I wanna get back to Steve real quick.
Yeah,
Steve,
I'm
over
sorry.
there in Dubai. So is that where you live?
Yeah, that's where I live. I'm from. Been here for 19 years, like, of my life, and that's how it's been like.
Oh, very cool. So what is the music scene like there for you, and like basically what are your circumstances over there, and what kind of problems might you be facing in your music creation process or mixing or engineering, anything we can help you with?
Um, Honestly, the biggest problem we have right now is, I have to say, we have the biggest thing is the scene. Like, the scene is very dead, but we're building it up. I was just working yesterday. This is one of the first open mic things that's been happening here since 10 years.
Wow,
We
really?
just
That
worked,
long?
yeah, that long. And I just joined that. I mean, they've been doing it now for 2 months. It's a new studio called White Cube Studios. And I was working with them, and they showed me, and I engineered with them a bit, and we were just setting up mics, and it was great. The scene's growing. Second problem is the law. The law here we don't have proper copyright laws, entertainment laws, etc. So you pay, I'm talking about like $10,000 for a license to open a studio here. You can't just work, you know? And then the third thing is lacking funding, basically. Even though we have a lot of money here, but people don't look at music, etc. as seriously. They'd rather fly someone out to another country and they're whatever plane they have, record his whole album, get it mixed and mastered by some dude up in France or London or whatever, and bring him back.
Oh, really? That's interesting because, yeah, like you said, my perception of, people being in Dubai and all that, we see the affluent lifestyle and all that. But you're saying that they're not keeping that in the local area where people like you that live there could actually take advantage of all this affluence, huh?
True. I mean, for me, don't get me wrong. Like they treat you with the money. They give you the money. You all have it. I mean, all the equipment, etc. And you get paid well as a DJ. That's how I get my money. But production, I could never get paid from production. Sony Music Middle East, my production I make, I get paid. It was only for the royalties. But then they messed me over because actually it was my bad. I didn't realize that the laws here don't have royalties. Like, they don't take it into account.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
So I ended up not being paid for 2 productions, and then I just terminated the contract. Because, like, I only needed a minimum of 2 beats, and then the rest was optional to see what we could work with them.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So how do you protect yourself on something like that?
Yeah. How you protect yourself is you just go and you talk to the old heads in the industry. Like, I work with a guy over here called DJ Bliss. If you search him up, he's a very big guy in Dubai, and he's been mentoring me since I was 11, young kid, and he teaches me. Like he tells me, this is what's up, this is what you gotta do. But I mean, it's growing. It's growing. Like especially the law. Like we had the producers panel
Mm-hmm.
a bit ago, about a year. Quincy was here. Bruce Sweden. We sat down with them, all the producers over there. And we were trying to discuss how we can fix it. Like they were interested. They got people from outside to try and fix this industry, but then again, some people weren't taking it as serious, and we didn't end up getting as much results as we wanted to. But I would say in about 10 years, this place will be a hot spot, but right now it's dead.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you this then. Like, what steps have you taken to kind of try to change the scene, or at least up the openings and possibilities for yourself and others?
I mean, I'll explain. Like for me, in regards to myself, I'm a local here, and I'm a minority in this country. So that's only 2% of the country's population, or 5%, something like that. And I will be the first local to ever get a bachelor's and a master's in this subject ever. And
Good.
I know, like, you don't need these qualifications, but I have no one to teach me here. You know what I mean? So I need to go out and learn it. And so at the moment, yeah, that's it. And I've been working with QB7, which is a studio down in Dubai. We get all the big rappers, everyone from the States who comes down here, searches for the first studio they can find, so they can like link up, get some interviews in, maybe record something. And that's it. That's QB7. We had Will Smith a few days ago, etc. You know, and what I've been doing is just working with everyone. And as a local, I have much more power in the industry in regards to finance, because they know I will stay in this country. So what I'm trying to do is get more trust in people into this industry so they can finance it more. And once we get finance in, I mean, from people like me and other youngers, they just built SAE down in Dubai. So we're getting more sound engineers that know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Like they're getting educated a bit more about it, because we have a lot of sound engineers here working on TV and stuff, and they don't know what they're doing.
Wow.
They get the salaries and whatnot, but everything's shitty quality. And
No kidding. Wow, that's interesting.
yeah, and they get the biggest salaries.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like they tell you, I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can get me there. And that's what's happening. That's the bad part. They don't go for quality, they go for connections.
Connections. Yeah, it sounds
So
familiar.
yeah. So what we're trying to do here right now is actually to go for quality, and the only way to do that is by getting proper funding, so we can get people from the States to teach the kids over here, and to teach actually the adults over here. Like, this is what needs to be done, because you guys have a booming industry over there. Somewhat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I mean, if you would say the top 3 countries that are the best in audio right now, I mean, the US, the UK would be in my top, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would get people from those countries to educate here, and the funding is here. We just need the education now. Like, we have the money, we just need to make it more serious, so the funding will come in to the sound instead of other things.
Hey Steve, you know what?
See what I
Something
mean?
else. Are you already on my list, or is this like your first time coming in? Are you already on my email list?
No, first time. I just stepped up on Facebook, saw your link, so I clicked on it.
You know what? We should hook up too as well, because me and Dave Hampton and some of us have done various teachings and things like that, and we're talking to some folks in Australia and things like that. Dubai might be an interesting conversation to have with you one day. You know.
I can hook you up with that easily. I mean, Pensado's place especially, every sound engineer I've met over here in Dubai, they use it.
Yeah.
Like, they use that channel to educate themselves. Because, like I said, we don't have a lot of experienced people over here.
Right. Right. Exactly. So
So, yeah.
do me a favor. Do you know how to put your name in the chat? I mean, your email in the chat on the. You know how to do that on the Google Hangout?
Here's the chat.
There's a little chat. It looks like a little blue speech bubble on the upper left-hand side, right next to the Google logo.
I think.
Yeah. Okay. I think I got it right there. And then I'm gonna put mine here too. So hold on. And then that way we can talk about this.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because I mean, we would love to have some people coming from the outside talking, and because I mean, if the people that we've had before didn't really execute their role very well.
Okay, so mine is right there. It's Khaliq at Khaliq-O-Vision.com.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot me an email, man, and I'll shoot you one back too, so we can talk some more on this. I think it'd be an interesting thing. Are you familiar with John Barnes?
Barnes.
You probably, I think you're probably too young to know who he is. John Barnes actually was he was one of Michael Jackson's right-hand men as far as all the musical work and studio work and creating sounds for and everything, you know. And John and I have known each other for decades, since the Michael days when we was all working together. But John used to live in Dubai for a good while, and he was just telling me some amazing things there. Yeah, I was just curious if maybe you had known of him, or he used to do a lot of work for, you know, because working for Michael Jackson, of course, you know, they had him royally taken care of as well. He had his own little mini palace and stuff like that for a minute. So,
I mean, I must have saw him because there was a thing for Michael, and I was there, the producer. The one that I told you where Quincy was, it was all basically the people who created the Bad album were there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They were discussing. I might have grabbed him, like I might have saw him pass by, but I didn't really. I was lost there, to be honest. I met people like Siada Garrett, and I didn't know who she was for a few minutes.
Oh, you met Saida? Okay, cool. Yeah, I used to work with her all the time too. Yeah.
I mean, some kid asked me, "What's your favorite song?" I'm like, "Man in the Mirror." Someone tapped someone on the shoulder, and I was like, I wrote that song.
That's
like,
the good one. Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I caught him over there. Maybe I just didn't catch his name. You know, maybe forgot it because it's been a year since that event.
Yeah. He was huge, and I mean, he was with Michael for decades, all the way up until until the end. He was like the go-to guy. I just crossed my mind. It just happened to cross my mind. But yeah, we should talk some more on this because Dave and I have been, we've been educating a lot of folks, but we're actually expanding out here. So I think that would be a good conversation to have with you. So cool, man.
That would be a good trip.
Yeah,
it would be a nice trip to take. You know,
it would be
spend a couple
awesome.
weeks.
I mean, I know all the big guys over here, so once you come down, literally everyone will be very welcoming because they just want people with experience, people with knowledge, and with passion towards this industry, you know, so that would be great.
Now, the only thing is, let me ask you this, though, because with things going kind of crazy right now in the Middle East and that side of the world, what's the safety and travel like over there at this time in Dubai itself?
Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi is the main city over here in the UAE. Safest city in the world, one of the safest cities in the world. Literally nothing's happening here. It is too chill. You know what I mean? There's nothing, not even crime. Like on the streets, nothing.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent.
So it's one of the safest places you can be.
No,
it's I'll tell you, it's the Middle East, but the Gulf is not affected. So Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, you won't get it. There's nothing there.
Oh, okay, really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah. It's fine here.
No, okay, cool. And what's up? Looks like we got Roger on here. What's up, man? I haven't talked to you in a long while. Made him rush back to the. How you doing, Roger?
Hey, what's happening, Khaliq?
Nothing much. How you been, man? Long time, man.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen you since NAMM.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Yeah, how you been?
I'm good, man. Just wrapping up a mastering session.
Oh, very cool.
Today, so I thought I saw your post, so I thought I'd hop on for a second.
Oh, good, man, good. Roger's been with me a long time. You know, very cool, very talented guy and everything. So I'm glad you had a chance to come on, man. What's going on with you these days, bro?
Man, just trying to keep busy and keep the bills paid.
Yeah. Know that one. You know.
Absolutely, man. You know, enjoying the opportunity just to hang out with you guys, and you know, I'm always in learn mode, so.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Hey, speaking of learn mode, and to let everybody know that's watching us as well, You guys know that I've been doing the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp, which is my live 2-day boot camp that I've been doing here in Los Angeles for the last couple of years. Well, I have the next one. I'm planning it now. And, usually it's been a live event where people had to come and travel and everything, but I'm going to try something different this year. I want to do it virtually, and I've also talked to a few people that I'm going to try to get them, like I got Basie Bob Brockman, so he's going to be on, and a few other people that we're going to try to see if we can pipe them in so that they can do it from their home studios and come in via, virtually online, but we can all see and benefit. So I may set this up either in a hotel ballroom still like I've been doing for the previous ones, but just pipe everybody in so that they can see it, so we can have a combination and reach more people all over the world, and people that can't necessarily make the trip here, they can still view it in real time. So what I need help from everybody here, Roger and everybody else that's on here now, and those of you guys that are watching, is I'm putting together subject matter that can be helpful. I want to help people tell me what are the situations that you've encountered that are a problem for you, or a stumbling block, or anything like that, that you think that, man, Khaliq, if you would just address this for me at the boot camp, my day will be made. My year will be made. It'll give me just the nudge that I need. I need a bunch of different things. I've got some people that have always sent me in emails and different things or problems, but I don't want to, I want to kind of get the main thing that most people want, and more importantly, I don't want to guess what you want. I want you to tell me what will be the most help to you. Tell me what you need. Send me an email to Khaliq at Khaliq-O-Vision.com. And I'll put that up for those of you that are watching this. Roger, you guys know I have it in the sidebar on the side, and Roger, you're already on my list, so you know my email and everything. But anybody that has some things that they think will be good that I should cover, things is like, if you don't cover nothing else, cover this, Khaliq. This would be so helpful to not just me, but to everybody. Let me know. Put it in the chat box on the side, or send me an email, combination of both. I'm putting it all together now to benefit as many people as I can. Yeah, let me get my email going here too, so that everybody can kind of see what's going on here. Yeah, if you want to contact me, I'm about to put a screen share link up, and this should show you what's going on with me. Can everybody see that on there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's mainly for the benefit of anybody that's watching out there, and you guys don't know me, you're just getting to meet me. That's my email address. You can register if you want to get notified on more of these Hangouts and stuff like that. MyMusicHangouts.com, MixingAcademy.com. You can register for some upcoming training I have on that, which will be coming very shortly too as well. So just get on one of my lists, whatever's convenient for you, to be in contact with me. You are going to not want to miss the Music Mixing Success Boot Camp. You're not going to want to miss this next one. It's going to be off the hook. The previous 2 years have been really great, but I'm planning on ramping this up even better. Roger, and you know how I do it, man. So
Yes, sir.
You can tell them a little bit about it, because you see, I'm gonna make sure the training is straight and tight for everybody. So maybe drop a few words on what you think about for some of the stuff that you've seen in the past.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into it now. Roger, do you think you would like to attend this year?
Absolutely. I would definitely like to do that. My schedule is so dynamic these days, but as far as with plenty of notice, I think I can probably try to make it work. But paying customers always trump everything else I do.
I got you. Well, we're going to be trying to do this virtually, like I said, so that's the good thing. Whereas even if you can't fly out here, if you could attend virtually, would that be helpful to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm seriously gonna see what I need to do to get all the bandwidth that I need to make that happen to thousands of people out there around the world, and still have it work in the room and pipe in everybody. tying in all these logistics, I think it'll be a great thing if I get this going. Not if, when, because I'm determined to make it happen. Too many people have asked me for this. So if you want to get your questions asked or get your problem addressed or something, send me an email to that email address I showed you earlier with some suggestions on subject matter to cover for the Music Mixing Success Bootcamp. Okay. So enough of that one. And anybody else got any other things that you guys want to address before we wrap it up for today?
No. For me, that's what's up. I just want to check about the storage thing.
Oh yeah, the storage thing. Yeah, that was a good one. And you know what? I always end up getting various manufacturers and stuff like that involved at different times as sponsors, and sometimes they go in and do presentations. So that might be one that I may want to talk to. I got to see how it'll work into the flow of things. You know, storage is not the most glamorous subject to try to do a presentation on, but I'll think about it, or maybe I can get it incorporated into what we do as part of our presentation. Roger,
I know you guys are about to wrap it up, but what was the question about storage?
Steve got on here earlier and was just asking about what storage solutions were we basically using, especially like cloud storage type of things and all that.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have any other cloud storage node, anything that you could.
I do use it, but I use it more for redundancy, with making sure my projects are backed up and things of that nature.
Yeah. And the difference between, there's some cloud storage that is basically static storage backup, like you said, and then there's others that's meant for online streaming as well. So it's storage and streaming, which is more relevant to what we do in audio and video and things like that. Dave was mentioning Gobbler, and I know there's some other things out there, but I'm not really sure because I still use the good old hard drive right now.
Well, even Google has they have their G Plus program for, your Google Drive.
Oh yeah, for storage, definitely.
For storage,
Google Drive and Dropbox and Evernote and a lot of those things like that you can store.
Right.
What were you going to say, man?
I was just saying the only thing that scares me about the cloud thing, like I would love to have cloud linked to my to something that's hardware based thing, because last time I think it was Dropbox. There was a problem with the server reaching the Middle East.
Ah, interesting.
See what I mean? And it was working, but it says something server for your country is unavailable at the moment. We will try to be back online as soon as possible. And that scared me because I had a session the next day, and we were like recording vocals for that session. I couldn't remake it, and it was all backed up there because my hard drive was full, and it was a last minute type of thing, So, but at the end I got to fix and whatnot. But
well, I've got to tell you, I've got multiple online cloud storage systems. Joseph mentioned Google Drive. I have Google Drive. I use that basically more for my personal backup stuff like that, because using it within Google Docs and all that stuff like that. But I also have Dropbox, which I use, and I also have Amazon S3. I use Amazon S3 because that's what I use for storing all my big, huge files, like my video streaming files and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For my tutorials and stuff like that. So these, these are all viable things. S3 is a good one because Amazon is huge, and it doesn't cost that much, and your files are pretty much going to be available anywhere. Same thing with Google Drive. Google is huge, and they've got to be up. Dropbox is not as big as Google or Amazon, obviously, so I could see that every now and then they might have a problem, but I've been using Dropbox for the last 3 or 4 years, almost since they first came online, actually, and I haven't had any real problems, so I think you're probably pretty safe, and they pretty much do redundant backup, so even if it was able to get to the servers in your area and went down for some reason, I'm sure there was a redundant backup somewhere so it could come back online. But your safest bet is to probably get something like Amazon S3 and use it as storage, or pay for more storage on Google Drive, because they're going to be everywhere.
Do that.
Yeah. Either that or just make sure you got bigger hard drives there.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. I've got like $3,000 on the side just for hard drives because it's scary with Complete Night Ultimate being as big as it is, and all of these programs and these plugins are crazy.
Yeah, and the prices come down. I got a couple of 2 terabyte hard drives the other day for, I think I paid about 70 something bucks for it.
Yeah, the prices are really coming down. Is everybody here, anybody here not a Mac user?
Oh yeah.
I don't use Mac.
Okay. If for those of you who are Mac users, just something that I do, I am a huge believer. I'm a huge believer in goodness gracious, Time Machine.
Yeah.
It is a lifesaver. It's a set it and forget it. I have 4 terabyte drive that's dedicated just for my Time Machine, and in addition to that, I have my cloud-based storage. So that's the third tier of redundancy that I have. But Time Machine, I can go back instantly without doing anything more than a year back to any session that I've ever had that I've worked on. Because with Time Machine, you can also tell Time Machine what you want to back up and what you want to exclude, so it doesn't have to be your entire system. So it can focus on just your project folders or your project drives and all of that. So it might be something to consider. If you're not using Time Machine, you might want to consider that.
Yeah. I need to actually use it more, Roger, because I use it mainly as backups in case my computer dies, but I don't use it as my regular backup, and I probably should. Main reason why is because, like I was telling everybody, I tax my computer so much, so one more resource that comes on and automatically kicks in. I can't have it doing it, but I probably should do it more.
You know me, Khaliq, when I turn my system on, the lights go dim.
Yeah, right.
Well, isn't it possible with your Time Machine to, I have something similar like Time Machine, where at the end of the day, before my computer gets shut down, it goes through a backup process.
It goes through a what process?
A backup process.
Right.
So it puts all the files into another drive system, and it's a mirroring drives.
Yeah.
So there's actually 2 of them being made, and that's it. And I always thought that that's how Time Machine worked, that you could tell.
Time Machine actually does a little more than that. Time Machine backs up everything that changes on your system or whatever you've designated to be backed up. Everything changes on the hour. So let's say, for example, I'm working on a project, and let's say I'm in between my autosave, in Pro Tools, and I want to go back to something that I did or something happened in between. I can literally go back in time, an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or a day or a week or a month, back in time, and literally go back in time and grab those projects that way too.
I see.
It literally backs up everything on the hour, on the day, on the week.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it's free. Doesn't cost anything.
Yep, that's the good things right there.
So wait, let me just check with you. The Time Machine, how much space do they give you?
It's unlimited. It's based off of the drive that you associate with Time Machine. So in my case, I have a 4 terabyte drive that's dedicated just for Time Machine.
So you get 4 terabyte drive or a 10 terabyte whatever, and then hook it up with the Time Machine, and the Time Machine is what is in charge of taking the information and sending it to it automatically whenever you change anything.
That's correct.
And is it worth the price? Because it's expensive.
I mean, Time Machine doesn't cost anything. It's part of the operating system that comes with every Macintosh.
I think what you're thinking of, Steve, you might be thinking of Time Capsule, which is different.
My bad. Yeah, that's
I got that too. I got that too for my laptops. But on my main rig, Time Machine actually has a drive that's associated with it, and it actually manages Time Machine. You tell Time Machine what you want to exclude, that you don't want backed up, and everything else it assumes that you want backed up, and it actually goes in and makes sure that happens on the hour. So
you just gave me an idea too. I think I'm gonna go out and buy a 4 terabyte drive, because here's another mistake that I made. I bought a drive and I partitioned. I had a 2 terabyte drive. I partitioned it for 1 terabyte for backup and the other terabyte for holding files. That don't work because I ran out so quick. It's
Yeah.
like I need something else. I just need one dedicated drive to just buy strictly for the Time Machine backup, nothing else. Because then when my Time Machine backup tries to come on sometimes, and if I didn't have that drive plugged in, it's looking around. I gotta remember what drive did I have as my backup drive.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
Yeah,
I
the way my system is set up, I have 4 internal drives in my Mac Pro, and then I have my 5th drive is a dedicated 4 terabyte Time Machine drive. So
Yeah.
my operating system is on its own. My audio drive, which is all my active projects, is on a drive by itself. Any of my samples and other things anything that might be streaming, virtual instruments and things of that nature, all streams from a drive by itself. And then I got a junk drawer drive.
Yeah.
It basically has
Man.
things that I've archived that I just want to keep ready access to, and then of course my Time Machine drive. So with systems, it's all about I/O. So the faster you can write and receive information that you're asking for, the better your system's going to respond.
Yep.
I mean, I believe the one thing you can't overkill, and it's storage, like
Absolutely.
electron, because you always store files. You can, if you have like 100 terabytes, trust me, you can save them for 10 years. And you can always keep using it. It never like
Absolutely.
stops.
And one other thing that I do, my Time Machine drives, it takes about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years to fill up my drive, because I'm not backing up everything, just the main things. And so what I do is when it gets to the point to where it's full, I put it back in the box, I put it on my shelf, and I can go back 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, back in time to go grab something that I need to grab, because drives are cheap.
Here's something that's interesting too with backups though. I don't know if you guys have ever had this. Have you ever gone back to a drive and it won't spin up? Here's the difference.
No.
Yeah, because with hard drives, just being in the air, if they don't get used or whatever, they can the spinning mechanism can actually just lock. And it may have worked when you put it up, then you go to open it up, and then suddenly your drive will not come up. So it's good to plug those in every now and then and let them spin up and let them get a little heat to them so that they can, let the platters, when they spin and everything, they warm, so they warp a little bit and bend a little bit. And then when they cool down, they expand back out. And all these things happen. So when it's not doing anything, it can actually get locked into a certain position and not work anymore. Just from you thinking that it's okay, and just from you not using it, you can actually be messing up your backup. So
Also,
this is where an SSD drive, I think, will probably be a much better alternative because there's no moving parts on that.
they're just too expensive at the moment.
Yeah,
Like
they are.
right now, they're way too expensive. I think just give them 3 more years, they'll drop the price drastically and get a new thing out.
Exactly. Yeah, because remember how expensive a terabyte drive used to be. So that's where SSD drives right now. I got to tell you, here's one of my other little backup that I keep that I love. That's my little USB key there at 64 gigs.
What is that, Lacey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the same as the LaCie, but it's off-brand actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was getting a few of them in bulk because the LaCies are overpriced. These you can get these. I forget what I paid for it, but it wasn't that much at all compared to the LaCies. They try to get you just for putting their name on it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I carry my little 64 gigs around, and I'm good for a lot of stuff.
I would recommend. You were saying that you were thinking maybe you grab a 4 terabyte thing. I was looking at this company that came out, Glyph. You heard of
Yeah,
those
I
guys?
use Glyph.
Yeah.
That's what I use also is Glyph
The
drive.
Glyph Studios, like you can rack them up and you can hook them up and daisy chain them.
Exactly,
pretty
like
sick.
at the raid. Yeah. Me and Dave Hampton are actually, we're actually Glyph endorsees, so we.
Everybody ain't able, Khaliq.
Especially Dave. Dave is,
Dave Hampton.
he's been, when he put his book out, he had a whole display at the bookstore. I mean, not at the bookstore, at the Glyph store when they had the thing at NAMM and all that. Dave had his whole book set up right there at the Glyph thing, them backing him and going for all that. I'm kind of on the side where I would do different little things. Like right now, I'm looking in my studio and I got a little sign with me and Dave Hampton saying, Glyph drives are the third team member, and we got me and Dave doing our little pose and all that.
So wait, and I have a question. Like, other than like putting aside that you're an endorsee for Glyph, would you recommend them, like in general, as just an everyday guy?
Absolutely, because that's how it is. I start out, I'm one of those guys that I start out and I have to use something and like it, and then what usually happens is I'll talk to the people or whatever. Or in the case of Glyph, we were always going to NAMM show, and then Dave had the relationship at first, but me and Dave being best friends all these years, I'm always hanging with him, and then I started using the drives. Our clients were using them. Herbie Hancock and everybody else had them in there, and so they just came and was like, well, listen, you guys are with all the people that are always using our stuff. So when somebody recommends something or whatever, do you think our drives are good enough and everything? So they're like, okay, well, yeah, And I'm not saying Glyph. It wasn't like we got a bunch of free stuff and everything. When I say we are endorsees, it's like we have to pay too. We might get a little an endorsee deal or something like that, but we only do it because we use the stuff. We recommend it to our clients. We've seen it. We know in situations like you said, when you're working in the studio and somebody brings in a Western digital drive, we say, no, don't use that. Somebody bring in a Glyph drive, yeah, use that. You're going to be all right because they spec'd out the right mechanisms. The hardware is impeccable. The way the way everything is put together and everything is not going to fall apart in harsh studio or live touring environments. That's the only way we endorse stuff is because we've used it and seen that it works.
Yeah.
And it represents us for when somebody says, well, hey, what should we get? What should we use in our studios? We got to give them the best stuff, Like Dave said,
And
I've never
for
told somebody to use. Huh?
For Glyph, like, would you like basically? I want a new hard drive to run like basically like Complete 9 Ultimate, Waves Gold, to store it on there and run it into Pro Tools. Would you recommend like getting a Glyph and putting the plugins and all these big files into Glyph and running them to the computer, or leave them on the computer? What should I do with that?
Well, here's what I recommend. Glyph drives, to me, they're best for what they were designed to do. They were designed to serve audio and video professionals that have to stream a lot of data back and forth on a fast, reliable, and solid drive. So that's the data, the actual audio information or video information that needs to travel back and forth down this seamless pipeline. That's where they shine. Plus, Glyph, their main thing is because they take standard mechanisms internally. There's only like a handful of manufacturers that actually make hard drives out there that everybody uses and they put their names on. But Glyph's strength is they take all the components and put everything together in custom enclosures. They stand up to a tank being able to run over them, and they'll still get your session done and all that. The electronics that they wire together, that's where Glyph is outstanding more than everybody else, And for your plugins and stuff like that, plugins and all that are just a static piece of software. So, I think stuff like that can probably stay on your computer, but your files, as far as your audio files, video files, and anything that need to move in real time, that's where you put the Glyph drives in.
That's what I was saying earlier, that all of my streaming, like I'm an owner of Complete Ultimate and a whole bunch of other samples. All of those things that stream like that should be ideally, in a perfect world, on a dedicated drive.
Right.
So you want it separate then from your operating system drive, and even separate from your project drive.
Yeah.
So
gotta get a 1 terabyte drive and put it aside for my plugins, for example.
Your plugins, in a lot of cases, they're going to have to be on your main system drive in a lot of cases.
And they don't take up a lot of space, and they don't take up a lot of resources. The plugins themselves don't really take up that much.
It was my bad.
It's the support files and stuff like that.
Yeah, so sometimes you may have to trick the system in terms of how you associate the samples with the application. You might have to create a link to it, and then change the name and take that extension off of it so that it knows that that's where they are.
That's what I was saying, Roger. I had to do the other day when my Mac has been acting up. And the other thing that I found out, and I gave as a tip to everybody early on in this conversation, was what brought my Mac back online is I had a 2 terabyte drive in it, but I only had something like about less than 20 gigs left. And then when the guy looked at it, he was like, "No, man, you need to keep at least about 200 gigs free."
Yeah.
Because your system and everything needs to keep writing back and forth to your hard drive as a
Right.
virtual memory as well
Absolutely.
as your RAM. And
Right.
so what I did was I looked at my hard drive. When you're installing like all these software things and all that, many times they install their sample files and other things. So I had a sound library folder that had like almost 500 gigabytes worth of
Yeah.
data in there for just a sound library. So what I did was I took that
Yeah.
sound library, put it off on a whole nother disk, then I made an alias of that and put that
Yeah.
in place on the system drive. So it
Yeah.
points to it. The system thinks it's on the same thing, but it's actually on a whole nother drive.
Exactly. Yeah, some software will allow you to determine where that's installed. Like Complete has the option to do that. But even if it hadn't, you can always create an alias. You just have to delete that extension off the alias so that it still knows where it is. And basically, in that case, you're just tricking the system into thinking that it's where it always was, but in essence, you've actually moved it.
Yeah, that's the best way. That'll keep everything, and then like have one drive that's basically a media drive. Because there's a difference between your software plugins and sound libraries and stuff like that are all basically software type things. Even sound libraries that have loops and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff can be considered media if it starts getting bigger, but if it's just like straight hits and stuff like that, many times it's just a static thing that's not going to take a lot of memory and not need a lot. So you can either decide whether if you got a lot of files that need a separate media drive and maybe your audio and video files and potentially your samples and loops on there, but some stuff that's smaller like that can actually all go in that alias folder we were talking about. That's part of a sound library, and that can be a whole thing.
Great.
But the main thing is keep it separate.
Hey, real quick, let me ask you a question, Khaliq. Are you considering going to the new Mac Pro?
Yeah, I am. That's when this computer was acting up. I'm considering it. I'm still not going to do it probably. If I can hold off for another year or two, I'm good because I've had a chance to play with some clients that went and bought the new system. It is ridiculously fast. It's definitely the next edge. But I have learned not to get on the front edge of things, so I know the next iteration will be even better. It costs so much. I'm not ready to make that thing yet. So my Mac Pro Tower is just fine for now.
I mean, I have a 2012 12 core Mac Pro.
Yeah,
loaded.
You're good for a while, man.
And my thing is I'm probably fall in the category with you from the standpoint that I have a lot of cards and things of that nature that I would need to go like buy a Magma chassis or something else out there to be able to use the stuff I already have in addition to the new Mac Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sitting on 12 cores with like 64 gig of RAM already, and my system is doing nothing most of the time. So I was just curious. But I know it's faster, but man,
Well, it is. I mean, it's significant. It's definitely noticeable. It's a significant jump, actually, really noticeable. But at the same time, that's a significant price jump too. So
I wonder if what you're noticing with the new Mac Pro more so than anything is the fact that it's all SSD.
That's a big part of it too. Yeah, that's big part of it.
Yeah.
We were talking a bit before, and Khaliq said that the less moving parts would theoretically make it faster, and I think that's what's up with the new Mac.
Well, yeah, no question.
And it's less energy lost through heat because the moving parts heat up the computer a lot.
Yeah.
Especially
that's a great point. Yeah.
You're not going to move data any faster than SSD.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not so much the drive as well. It also depends on the internal processor and how it does its hyper-threading and stuff like that internally, how it moves the data. So the new Mac definitely is moving the data internally through their bus much faster. I mean, you can
Yeah.
definitely notice it. So that's
See, in my
that's what
case,
you
you
can
know,
do.
having a 12 core, I mean, they want like $6,000 for a 12 core. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
that new
and
seven.
I can't, I paid
No.
$6,000 for this one with everything in it.
Yeah. No, that's too
You
much
know,
of a jump right now. Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I said I'll wait for the next one and wait for the prices to come down. Then it might be worth it. But right now, anybody that has a tower, and I have an older tower than yours, but mine is doing okay. But I'm going to probably update to either a
How
2012,
about I sell you mine?
2013. Hey, we can talk, bro. Because I'm getting to
I
be about there. Where I need to do that. Because
I think
I
Mac
do a
did a
lot of.
big mistake though with the Mac Pro.
Say that
Like
again.
I said, the Mac, like with Apple, I think they made a big mistake with the Mac Pro design that they used.
The new one.
Yeah, because the majority of people that use it are working with video, audio, these type of industries. And most of us rack our stuff and want our cables to be neat and tidy. This thing, they showed you it in the showroom. It had no cables connected to it, so
Right.
it looked nice. But once you connect cables, they're everywhere. And this
Yeah.
thing is like it doesn't cover them up, and it's like
And see,
dust bit.
that's
You
my
can
problem.
rack it.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about it
That's
from that point of view.
and the Khaliq, that's my problem. I mean, I've got two symphonies, in there. I've got two UAD 8 octo cards in there.
Yeah, man.
I got cards, man. And it's like if they would have come out with a chassis for the pro people. If I were just getting started building my studio, I probably would go with the new Mac Pro. But for a guy who's been around, has been doing this as long as I've been doing it, what am I going to do with all these cards that I have that I use every day?
Right.
So in addition to the $6,000, now I got to buy a chassis, and now I got to have cables hanging all over the place. And
Yeah,
in my
I'm gonna-
current Mac Pro,
I got to chime in there.
I got 4
Roger?
hard drives in my current Mac Pro. Where am I going to put all my drives now with my new Mac? And now you can't even rack. Well, I've recently seen some things where you can rack the new Mac Pro,
Yeah.
but up until here recently, you couldn't even rack it.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that true?
And I'll tell you what really got me. I just recently went to the Mac store, and as if I was starting over and was going to go with the Macintosh, okay, because currently I'm running Windows workstations, and the price of the computer itself was it really is comparable to some Windows workstations. What got me was the $158 for a 30-foot cable to not have a bunch of crap on my desktop. I'm
crazy.
serious. A 30-foot light cable, because all the cables they had in the FireWire were 6.5 feet, 6.5 some feet. Okay, and those were $39. And the box that would put the UAD cards in, that was another $1,400 on top of the computer. So I ended up coming away with an itemized. I wish I had it in front of me. I'd read it to you. It was itemized. I would have spent just as much for all the outboard stuff as the computer cost, and I only went with an 8-core computer, not the 12-core. So it was well over $10,000. And that really, I just couldn't. I couldn't understand. I couldn't see that.
I agree that I think they did make a mistake with the current pro community, particularly the audio pros.
Audio pros for sure, yes.
I just, there's no way. And I think you used to be able to find 12-core Mac Pros on eBay and other places. You can't hardly find them now because, anybody that had a 2008 model or before holding out for the new Mac Pro were disappointed because they just they can't use all their stuff that they have already without spending even more money, and that's the situation I'm in.
Right.
But I mean, I got a 2012 model. It's a 12-core. It runs great, but I tend to be an early adopter, but not this time.
Yeah, exactly. I stopped that early adopter stuff.
Yeah.
Especially
The question
with
is,
the problem with Mavericks and Pro Tools 11, that made you not wanna trust Apple with certain updates that they put up.
yeah.
Hey, Steve Jobs is gone now, so they're slipping a little bit.
Hey man,
Quality control's
don't block yourself from an endorsement, Khaliq.
Hey, trust me, I've been trying to get Apple to endorse for years. It ain't gonna happen, so I ain't worried.
I got you. But is anybody here running Pro Tools on Mavericks?
I
Over
am
here.
not.
I am, and I'm running it perfectly. I'm running 11 HD on Maverick.
I've
Same
been
here,
waiting
except
for a bit.
I mean, the only problem that you have is if you use like plugins that haven't been updated since then, if you know what I mean, like some
Right.
old plugins. Those are when you start crashing.
Well, yeah, if you haven't got an AAX 64-bit, then you're gonna have a problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Because then again, like there's some plugins out there that have never been updated after they were made, like from 2011.
Yeah, I got that problem with Lexicon right now.
Right.
Yeah.
What a shame
it's-
too. These folks are missing the boat. I don't know why they haven't figured out that that's where your money is. You know, I mean, look how long it took Eventide to come out with this
Yeah.
stuff. Man, I used to use that Eventide anthology bundle all the time on
Yeah.
everything, and I was surprised that they just now came out
The
with
channel
some
strip
stuff.
they came out with.
Yeah, the Ultra channel ain't no joke, and then they finally came out with the reverb and the couple of the other ones that they had. The H3000 final one
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, but to be honest, I only use Mavericks with Pro Tools 11 for my home setup, and I'm only running through it like Waves Gold and a few tiny other plugins like the SSL and stuff. SSL plugins from Waves, and those are fine. Waves has done a good job to keep updating and stay on top
Yeah,
of
they have. They have all of the big guys, the bigger. Most of these guys, in my opinion, and you can chime in on this, Khaliq. But in my opinion, all of the big companies, all of these companies a lot of these companies aren't very big, even though they have big names.
Right.
So, Waves, they're a big company and they have the resources to keep up, when Apple decides to change or, Pro Tools decides to change. But a lot of these companies like Sound Toys and Eventide and some of these other companies have been around a long time. They're boutique type companies, and so they don't have the resources that Universal Audio would have or Waves would have potentially. So what I do, I do a lot of tracking. I'm doing bands and 20, 25 tracks simultaneously. So I track in 11, but I tend to go back and mix in 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have the headroom. I like the way my system breathes with the 11. It just having 64-bit just really changes the game.
Does it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I have Pro Tools 11, and I still haven't really even used it yet because I lose so much in it.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with 10. So,
Yeah.
I know I've got to make that move soon too.
Yeah, they just came out with 11.2.1 last week too, which did fix a lot of things. There were some issues with delay compensation with 11, which finally got fixed, and I was having some problems with. And some other minor problems. It's still not quite ready for prime time, primarily because tools that we use haven't, made the leap to 64-bit. But I think we're getting a little closer. But Mavericks is not officially supported for 11. At least with a dual installation with 10, it's not officially reported. But I'm using it and I haven't had any problems.
Okay, cool,
Excellent.
cool, yeah. And now they got, what's the new one? Python? Is that what it is, or something like that?
The new operating system is on its way out.
Yeah.
It's
what's it called?
it's not Python. It's something along those. I think it starts with
It's Yosemite.
Yosemite, correct? Yeah, Yosemite is a new one that's coming out. I'm actually a beta tester for Apple. I have it, but I've not, I haven't installed it on my laptop to check Pro Tools.
Yeah.
They haven't even gotten Mavericks right yet, so I doubt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to do my upgrade to Mavericks now because I'm still on Mountain Lion. I didn't trust Mavericks for a while when I was doing the research, but now it seems like they finally got that stable, so I'm gonna finally.
Yeah, it's definitely been much more stable. Especially
But you know what's up?
I just did I just did a long session, probably like 14 hours straight, on 11.2.1 a couple of days ago. No problems at all.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, with Apple though, now I've realized something. Like today, they also released a press thing, and it's basically they've realized that their products are acting up here and there, and they're actually fixing that. Like they just recalled in iPhones, for example, like with their battery problems, and you could put in your serial number and check if it's not working. They'll give you a new one. So they realize that they have some problems. Before they were I think too confident with their products. Now they realize they have problems, they gotta fix them. And I think because Mavericks was bad not just for audio people, it was bad for a lot of other industries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you paid money for it, and then now they made it free. By the way, if you didn't buy it in these last few months, it's become free.
Oh yeah,
So,
all that stuff.
They realize it sucked. They realize it.
Yeah, that's it. Heads will roll. Steve Jobs with an S was there. So, you need to go in and be his proxy, man.
There you go.
Oh man, it's a trip. Well, okay, guys. Well, if, that's it. We can wrap it up for today, and why don't y'all join me again on the next one on Thursday. Every Thursday and Sunday we do it. And Steve, shoot me an email, man. If you haven't done it, copy my email address over there on the right, and then shoot me an email right now if you can, so that I can talk to you further.
All right, put it down.
Okay, guys.
Hey,
Okay.
Khaliq, hey, did you see that suggestion I made?
Yeah, I did. That's great. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great, man. Perfect.
It's one of the issues I deal with my students all the time.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Well, people
that's
think
a
that
good
just
one.
because they're in
Actually.
the digital world that they don't have to, follow proper game structure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can see that being a
That's
problem.
far from the truth.
Yeah, indeed. All right, guys.
Yeah.
All right,
It was
guys.
nice
Bye.
meeting you, Roger.
You
Nice
too, guys.
meeting you too, Steve.
All
Nice
right,
meeting you all.
Yes.
all right, guys. I'll catch you
Have a
guys
good
on the
one.
next hangout.
Okay.
Take care,
All
Khaliq.
right. Peace out.
Yep. See you.
Catch everybody later on. Peace.